It was I suppose the Thatcher-Reagan era felt like the adults were in the room, didn't it? That really did have a sense that, and I caught the tail end of it really because I was mostly a kid. But yes, that era where there was a common sense, grown-up feel. Not everything was correct, and there were things that went wrong, of course. But as a general rule, a cracking example of how we could have, and we were at that stage, of course, common market maybe, but we weren't fully ingratiated in this EU super dream like we became. America was doing its thing, the Cold War, the wall was about to come tumbling down, all of that. There was something about it where our relationship with the US was incredible. I know times change, and maybe it cannot be refound, that relationship, but I hold out as a positive that we maybe could. Let's move to this story, because this cropped up as well during Trump's speech. Labour preparing to flood the UK with Chinese-made solar panels as it tries to deliver its pledge on bringing every household energy bills down. I mean, the maths is, it's such a juvenile thing to say, we're going to make you pay out this and it's going to bring your bill down. None of it makes sense. So much for attempting net zero. How much energy is that going to damage the environment, constantly bringing over solar panels from places like China? There is that as well. And I'll just mention Chris's message again. I love the bit where Trump said that China sells windmills to stupid people. Let's speak to Maurice Cousins, campaign director at Net Zero Watch. Afternoon to you, Maurice. I mean, Trump, it was brilliantly entertaining to hear him talk and compound his dislike for windmills, although I don't think he was quite correct on his assessment that China, makes loads, they put them up, but they don't use them. But that's another story. Nonetheless, everywhere else is obsessed with them, and no one more so than Red Ed Miliband. He's going big guns on the windmills, big on the solar panels, and today he's resurfaced his passion for heat pumps. Is there no stopping this man?
No, there is no stopping him. He has got the law behind him, and we have to deliver net zero emissions by 2050, and these energy plans are a part of that, really. So no, there's nothing that we can do at the moment to sort of stop him, bar an election where both the Tories and Reform have obviously said that they would ditch it, and that's the way that we can get ourselves back to energy sanity. But I think you're right to say this is mad, and the two stories are sort of linked, because you were talking about Trump and then you were talking about Miliband. Really, Trump and the Americans, the reason why they are concerned about Europe is they don't think that we're pulling our weight. And so often when we talk about defence in the context of Europe, we talk about it as a financial problem. Yeah. We're not spending X percent of our GDP on defence. But actually it's a more fundamental problem that we've got with the defence of our continent. And it's an energy one, and it's an industry one. Hard power is downstream from both of those. If you produce lots of energy and you've got lots of industry, you are in a good position to defend your interests. And the Americans just don't think that we are doing enough to pull our weight in this new world order. And Trump, he says it in his usual sort of New York property developer kind of way, but there's an inherent truth there, which is that we are not serious. And you've got people like Ed Miliband saying he's going to spend £15 billion on, upgrading our homes. Just to put that into context, that is a quarter of the defence budget. 1/4 of the current defence budget. It is nuts. On a form of power generation, solar, for a country that is ranked 229, so 229th wow. out of 230 countries in the world for solar potential, according to the World Bank. So I think only Ireland is ranked lower than us, right? We do not benefit from. Just look out your window. I mean, look at the sky right now. It's grey out there. We are not blessed with high potential for solar. Yeah. So it's time we got real. The world is getting harder, and we need to start to get real about energy. We need to get real about defence. We need to get real about industry.
Donald Trump, in that speech, talked about North Sea oil. He mentioned it yesterday in the White House. He mentioned it again at Davos. He said the UK is sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it. Hard to argue.
We're mad. I mean, there's no other way to putting it. It's not just North Sea oil and gas. We've got onshore oil and gas, which we're not doing. We've currently got a ban in place, and we've reaffirmed that after the invasion of Ukraine. We need these sources of energy in order to be able to strengthen our economy and to put us in a strong position in the god-awful event that something was to break out on the continent of Europe. There already is a war in Europe. People forget this. There is one. It's going on in Ukraine. And, if something was to happen, God forbid, if the Americans were suddenly distracted with China, or if, there's a dispute, this dispute with Greenland becomes ever more serious, we are in a really serious situation, and we're going to need every bit of energy that we can get our hands on, including North Sea, including shale gas, and including coal. And Trump is right. It is absolute madness that we're not doing what we should. We're taxing a lot of these businesses out of existence, and we're banning new oil and gas licenses.
But here's the thing, Maurice, this is the bit you're missing, of course, and that is that we're saving the planet, for goodness sake. We're saving the planet, we're saving the animals and the little newts and the Amazonian green bat, or whatever it is, because, if we start digging that oil stuff, that wicked toxic stuff, then they're going to die, and so are we. So that's what Ed's doing.
We're doing no such thing. The reality is that little old Britain is responsible for less than 1% of global emissions. If we reached net zero tonight, it would make not a jot of difference to the balance sheet of global carbon emissions, not one jot of difference. All we have done is offshore all of our emissions to China, and we're still reliant on all the technologies that we're importing and all the goods that we're importing. They're being produced using coal. I know it's become a bit of a cliche to say all of this, but this is just the reality. We are a fossil fuel civilization. We rely on these things in order to be able to keep ourselves going, to defend ourselves. If we get rid of fossil fuels, China, United States, Russia, all these other countries, they are not going to do it, and all we make ourselves is prey to much larger beasts out there that we don't want to be subservient to.
It's a great way to put it, a fossil fuel civilization. Love that. Maurice, thank you very much indeed. Maurice Cousins, who's campaign director at Net Zero Watch. Thank you to him.